There are lots of different opinions out there on what length leader to use on your drop shot. Well, today I really wanted to dive into this and spend some time with it and kind of figure it out for myself. Long leader, short leader, does it really make a difference? Well, I found some pretty interesting stuff, so let's go ahead and jump right into this. So I set up two different drop shot rigs. One of them has a leader that is 1 foot in length, and one of them has a leader that is 4 foot in length. And on both of these, I just used a cheap Bell sinker, and I do have 12-pound fluorocarbon for the drop shot leader itself. And the lure, of course, is my favorite drop shot of all time. It is the Baby Z2, and you can just take a look at it sitting here just motionless. Look at that, just really nice horizontal position, which is why I love this lure so much. Well, the first thing that I want to go over is drop shots are so versatile. You can use them for suspended fish. You can use those for fish, down on the bottom, fish vertically for both of those two types, or you can cast the lure out horizontally. So I'm going to start off with vertical jigging, and this would be for suspended fish. In other words, the weights, the drop shot weights, are off of the bottom. They are just suspended in the middle of the water column. Now, if I go ahead and impart some just small rod action here, just slightly twitch the rod, whether it's a short leader, 1 foot, or a long leader, 4 foot, there's not any real noticeable difference. Before I did this, I was definitely under the belief that the longer the leader, I was going to get some more bounce in there and have a little bit more action. But I think the difference between the two leaders here is negligible. So if you are fishing for suspended bass and you have those weights up off the bottom, you might as well use a little bit shorter leader and make it easier to deal with when you're casting or dropping it down. Now, this next one is where I was really impressed and or surprised at the results. So there are times when those bass are right there, belly on the bottom, right? But there's also times when the fish are up just a little bit off the bottom. If they're down tight, I'm going to use a short leader, especially if there's no vegetation. It's just a rocky type of a bottom. But when those fish are up a little bit, or if I'm dealing with vegetation that has some height to it, the long leader imparts a completely different action with that weight on the bottom. With the short leader on the bottom and you impart action to it, it's still kind of that quick, herky-jerky type of movement. But with the long leader, the 4 foot leader, that weight is down on the bottom. I can go ahead and drop that rod tip and pull it back up, and look at the nice gliding action that I get. It's not that rapid bounce. It dies, falls slowly. It's essentially weightless, right? But it's kind of being guided by the line below it. Just a really nice gliding, smooth action. And of course, I can tighten that line up and get that real quick quiver to it if I want, or just drop that rod tip and I get that nice, almost like a dying bait fish type of a look. So in this situation, I really feel the long leader has some major advantages if those fish that you're targeting are up off the bottom just a little bit, because you can hold a tight line and a quick quivering action, or let the rod tip drop and have that kind of sliding, gliding type of an action. Now let's jump into a horizontal presentation with our drop shot. It's not a surprise when your line is at an extreme angle, the longer leader will hold that lure up off the bottom, but not that much, just a few inches. Even with this 4 foot leader, this lure is just a few inches up off the bottom. And of course, the short leader, it's right down there on the bottom. Now, if you have, like I mentioned earlier, a river, lake, or pond where there's a lot of rock, that's going to be okay. That's no big deal. But if you've got a mucky bottom or some short vegetation like chara, you're probably going to want that long leader if you're casting that drop shot out and bringing it back horizontally. Well, I hope after seeing this, you're more confident in the leader length that you are using. If you found out something different or want to add to our video here, go ahead and drop a comment down below. And if you want to watch a video on Aaron Martin's Gilly Rig, this is just a really neat and an interesting way to hook those soft plastics, go ahead and check this one out right here. And make sure you go out and encourage someone today. You never know how you might just change their life. For the Bass Fishing Life, I'm your host, Steve Rogers.